I see through my work and through the comments and people on YouTube and everywhere, I see two things. One is the capacity that human beings have to be incredibly cruel and unkind to other people. But then the strange phenomena that we have, which one sees, which is the capacity that we have to be incredibly cruel and unkind to ourselves. And it's not so much the first one that I'm going to bring to attention this morning. It's actually the second one, because if you really dig in and think about it from a deeper place, especially when we get on the spiritual journey, the journey of uncovering, the journey of seeking a deeper knowing of ourselves, a seeking of something more harmonious within ourselves, then to carry the divisive, judgmental, kind of almost egoic way of being onto that spiritual journey doesn't make any sense, and has to be dealt with on a certain level. And that's really what I'm inviting and what I'm talking to here is, we can be incredibly unkind to ourselves. Just think about that. Why? What purpose do we imagine that unkindness to ourselves, for our what? For our failings, for our flaws, for our weaknesses. These are qualities, that we punish ourselves for, even though we've come onto the spiritual path with some sincerity, with some earnestness, with some deep desire to step out of the, if you like, the world of duality, or the world of self-punishment, or the world of punishing others, this whole egoic way of being that can end up in such a disaster, for so many people. The unresolved stuff that we carry around within ourselves, we project it outwards onto the world, onto other people, or we, almost project it inwards and say that part of me is bad and that part of me, just shouldn't be there, and I shouldn't be feeling like this, and then you get into the world of shame and guilt and stuff like that, and I see a lot of that around, and it's heartbreaking to be so divided up from ourselves. And this has to be dealt with, it has to be forgiven. One has to, at some point in this blessed existence, seek to come back to a kind of a love that forgives oneself. Wow, is this possible? And I'm not talking about on the superficial level, I'm talking deep stuff here. To deeply forgive ourselves for the errors we've made, for the failings that we've carried, for things that we've done in unconsciousness, cruelty that we've inflicted all the times we've moved away from ourselves. Or these things, these energies, these grievances that we've carried, the capacity that we have to open greater than all of those. This capacity that we have, that it sort of opens up and allows those to be as they were. And they're not here now, necessarily. And then they come back. The nature of the spiritual path for most people is not the one-time, enlightenment moment and then it's done. The whole human experience is resolved and I'm in bliss and equanimity and unconditional love from that moment on. Oh, no, it doesn't really work like that. What works is, what happens is that there's, an opening, and then there's a bit of life lived for a short or a long period of time in that opening, and then it's challenged again, and then life comes again, and then ordinary life or domestic life or relational life or the world comes back in, boom, and suddenly the equanimity is lost and the reactivity comes back and the pain body re-emerges and, unresolved stuff comes along. And we can, these spiritual people, so-called spiritual people, can be incredibly self-judgmental, self-damning. I've lost it, hold on, where's my drink? I should be further down the path than this. I should have resolved this by now. I thought I was beyond it, and here it is, here it is again. I've failed. Oh, dividing ourselves up again. Just, there was the harmony, there was some grace, and then there's the failing, so-called failing. And there's the judgment again, this time in a spiritual sense, imagining that we've fallen off the path. What path? What path have we fallen off? The mirror holding up the, God or existence or one's experience or divine intelligence holding up a mirror to us saying, and this, you forgot about this part of yourself. So we trigger an experience that brings up that unresolved part of yourself. That's okay. That's included in the path, on the path. It's not a fail. It's not an exam. This life is not an exam. It's not a pass-fail kind of vibe. And yet we have this kind of tendency to treat it as such. So therefore we're either saved or we're damned. We're either good or we're bad. That doesn't make any sense. The deepest thing that we can practice, and it's a journey, and it's an ever deepening journey, is to when any sense of failure comes, forgive it and be kind to ourselves. Forgive it and practice a deeper level of equanimity, grace and kindness to ourselves, not on a superficial level. And it doesn't stop us being accountable to ourselves. These two things can live in tandem. The quality of kindness is to say, and it's okay, because it's held, because there's something bigger happening here. But pay attention. Pay attention. Kindness is not, self-kindness is not, oh, whatever, I screwed up and now I don't really care because it doesn't really matter anyway. Yeah, it matters. It matters. But it doesn't matter in the sense of punishment. It doesn't matter in the sense of you've got it wrong and you're going to hell. It doesn't matter in that sort of way. It just matters because there's the universe, if you like, intelligence saying you could pay attention to this bit of yourself, because there's still some heat in you, there's still some reactivity in you, there's still some, carried pain from the past in you. You're still carrying this old grievance, this old wound, this old voice. And that should be paid attention to. But you're not going to solve it by being unkind to yourself. You will never solve the problem of awakening or deepening by being unkind to yourself. You will solve it by and by being so incredibly kind that you just start to open, and it brings up emotions. Kindness is one of the most tender things we can do for others and for ourselves, because it allows the river of life to start flowing again. It allows the milk of human kindness, love, to start flowing again. Kindness is love manifested. Unkindness kind of creates this blockage of that which seeks to flow. It cannot be understated. We treat kindness as though it's some superficial quality, but it's not a superficial quality. And imagine if there was a shift in consciousness suddenly out of nowhere, if you like, there was an evolutionary leap in the mass of humanity. Instead of just thinking in this divisive, kind, unkind, cruel way, suddenly there was a shift in consciousness, and people started being incredibly kind to each other and to themselves, to the extent that people are incredibly cruel to each other now. Imagine that being flipped on its head. What kind of experience would we have in this world? It would be ecstatic. It would be ridiculously good, Well, that's what's being called for, despite the fact that the world is cruel, despite the fact that the ego self and the identified selves and all these angry people in the world projecting their unresolvedness and their hatred and their bile onto each other, hating on each other, judging each other, being incredibly cruel at the moment to each other. But that's no excuse for you and I to kind of play by the same rules. I decided that. I'm not going to play by the same rules as other people. I don't value that. I don't see the point. I've seen through the play. I've seen through the leela. I've seen through the mask of cruelty as a projection. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't work. So I keep coming back to this equanimity, grace, kindness from the deepest place, because that's what I want. And that's what I want to offer to the world. And that's actually what I want the world to offer to me. But at least I can offer it to myself. Go beyond. Go beyond. Go beyond your judgment. The voices inside us tyrannize us. They're not even our voices, most of them. Parents, teachers, morality, religious leaders, all saying you're this and you're that, and you're good and you're not good. Get out of here. To thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. And find out what that means. And when you err, and when you miss the mark, when you make the mistake, don't self-punish yourself back onto the path. It's not that sort of path. Path opens as you walk along it in forgiveness and kindness and love and grace. That's how the path is. That's how the path unfolds. Be kind, man. be kind. It really does something. It opens the door. It opens the door to a deeper place, a deeper grace.